people, we are back at it again. Dr. E with another heart to heart. Y'all, let me tell y'all, this weekend was phenomenal. We had a girls' trip to Nashville. And y'all know, those of y'all who know me, understand I used to live in Nashville. So it wasn't bittersweet. And my sisters even asked me, they're like, do you feel any sentiments, like do you feel like you miss the city? And I was like, no, I separated from it. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about today, like breaking up, like, so we're going to be talking about old city because I now live in Atlanta, but it was fun to be here. Let me, hey, Dawn, how are
Hi, I'm good. Can you
you?
hear me?
I sure can. You look amazing.
Good, thank you. You're looking lovely
Thank
yourself.
you. I was telling everybody about my trip this past weekend. I went to Nashville. We had a girls' trip with my
Nice.
sister. So we like hung out on Broadway and we did karaoke. We did a paint and sip. We had some wine. We just,
Ooh,
perused the city. So
you did what girls do on a girls trip.
that's what we had, our t-shirts. I wore my white cowboy boots.
So cute.
But that ain't what we talking about today. We talking, y'all. Dawn is a fantastic world-renowned breakup coach. So we are talking with her. We broke up. Like, is this the end? That's gonna be the topic today because people come to me, y'all know I do that too, but Dawn has like a different like angle, so to speak. But we're talking about breakup. Is it really the end or is it the beginning? So let's start it out. What are your thoughts?
So a breakup is definitely, without a doubt, a beginning. Like some of y'all are going through breakups, and that breakup is gonna save your life. Like
Wow.
it's definitely a beginning. It's not the end. And I think when you're grieving, it feels like the end, and it feels like I'm never going to find anybody else. But if you have that faith, you know that it's just the beginning.
How have you seen that pan out in your own life? You were so adamant that it's the beginning. How has that worked for you? Like, what are the examples?
So I think just in general in my life and in other people's lives, when you're in the thick of it, it feels like the worst thing in the world, right? Then you start having these limiting beliefs like, am I going to be alone for forever? Am I going to find somebody else? And the thing that I hear the most is, I'll never find anybody like him. And I cringe when I hear that because when I work with women, it's like you have this whole laundry list of things you want in a man. And this guy that's your ex, he wasn't it. So there's some kind of attachment going on to where it's just like, you're attached to someone who's not really treating you the way you want to be treated. And I've seen people go from that sort of like desperate feeling to being in a new relationship or even being single and being by themselves. So I've seen that. And it's happened with me also, where I was very attached to someone who I knew he wasn't it. Like sometimes you just know, right? Like even though you're in a full-fledged relationship, right? You just know this person is not it. And you think that your life is just going to be this one big mess once it ends. And then once you get to know yourself and you start working on yourself and you go through this healing journey, you're like, this was pretty good. Like I feel good about myself. I know for me personally, years ago when I went through a breakup, I thought it was like, oh, what am I gonna do now? I'm in my 30s. I'm never gonna be in another relationship. And then when I started to heal, it's just like, okay, what now? And I think a lot of times we have that question, like, what now, what next? And what now, what next? I started a business,
Mm.
lost 30 pounds, so it's just like stuff started falling into place, whereas this was just the beginning of it. So
Wow. So you just mentioned something about like you were able to start your business after the
Hmm.
breakup. You even lost 30 pounds. I had similar things. How did you lose the weight?
Honestly, it was just like I felt it was a new beginning. Like, I'm not gonna say I felt like that at first because yes, I grieved because it's a loss. But I think when you start to heal and you start to focus on yourself, I think sometimes we get in relationships and we lose ourselves. And then we start to focus so much on the other person that we don't really focus on our goals. And I just started turning it back around on me, focusing on my goals. And a lot of times, women these days, we don't want to ask for help. And I think one of the most beautiful things you could ever do is ask for help. And so I got into a community where we were focused on health. We were focused on just like getting our minds better, getting our body better. Um, and it's not the weight loss. It's just like it's the journey. It's just like feeling strong, feeling successful again, focusing on my goals. And I think that was something that played a major role in my life because it's like once you become successful at something else, you're like, what's next?
Hmm.
And that's sort of what happened.
So you mentioned something very critical. You said asking for help is what allowed you to lose the weight. Like you got in a community that was focused on the health. Was
Hmm.
it a struggle for you to get in that community, or what challenges did you face as you were losing the weight? Because even though
I
you
don't
felt empowered,
right. I didn't feel like it was a struggle. I feel like there's help all around us. If you ask for it, sometimes the help just will fall in your lap. You just have to recognize it. So it wasn't hard. Like I hired a trainer, I hired a health coach, and I was like, if I'm going to do it, let's do it. So no, it wasn't hard finding the help. It was just making that shift to say you are not weak for asking for help and just going out and doing it.
okay, you making me think about something else, because obviously we know you're a breakup coach. What do you say to the woman who's like, I don't need your help, Dawn? Like, yeah, I know you're an expert, you had the experience, you can assist me. What do you say to that person?
And I've gotten that before. So you ain't saying nothing that I have not heard. I've gotten that before. And as a trained social worker, you're taught in social work school to meet the client where they're at. And so if someone feels like they don't need help right now, there's really nothing I can do. Like I can't drag you along your journey. Like you have to come willingly. And so that's why I don't talk people into working with me. I don't harass them. Um, so it's just like if you're not ready, you're not ready. When you're ready, you'll come back. I've also had it where there was a client that said, I think I got this. I'll do this on my own. And then they got into another relationship, and the same thing sort of happened where they were in a relationship with someone not being treated the way they wanted to be treated. And she got to a point where she was just like, I'm tired of this cycle. And then she came back to me. And that was one of the bravest things she could have ever done because it's like again asking for help. But if you're not ready to receive it, then I'm okay with that. You can come back to me when you're ready.
Yeah, because the last thing you want to do is force somebody to accept
Hmm.
your help, because that's been a theme during this conversation, is asking for help. And if they ain't ready, they it's almost like trying to force somebody into a relationship or a
Right,
marriage. Ain't nobody
right,
fixing to do that. Like
right. Look, how's that gonna work? Okay, no.
it ain't gonna work. Okay, I got another question, because you know, Dr. E, I gotta ask all the good questions. Okay, we got some men and women out there who really want to break up. They want to break up with their boo, but they don't know how. Like, how should they do it? Should they even break up? I mean, what's your tip?
So I don't get a lot of people asking me how. I get a lot of people asking me, I don't know if I should or not. And so what I tell people, it's not my job to convince you either way, right? This has to be something that you do because you want to do it. Because if I give you all of the reasons why you should break up, you could turn around and say, you know what, that was breakup coach Dawn. I really wasn't ready to break up, so let me get back with him, right? Like, so you have to come to that conclusion, right? And so sometimes I'll do an activity with women and I'll ask them, I'll say, write out all of, and you guys can take this and try this if this is something that you're going back and forth with. Write out all the qualities you want in a man. Write out how you want to feel when you're with this person. And then you're gonna circle all the qualities that your current man has. And then you're gonna check off, like, what are deal breakers for you? And a lot of times when I do this exercise with people, and these are not even clients, these are just people that are just coming and asking for advice. A lot of times when they look at it on paper, they're like, I don't even want him, right? Like, so they've come to that conclusion that this is not even the man that I really want to be with. Like, these are my deal breakers, and he has none of the deal breakers. So now it's like,
Wow.
I'm not going to make that decision for you, but now you have to think about why you're with someone that doesn't even have, you might have like 4 or 5 deal breakers. You have to come to that conclusion about why you're in a relationship with someone that doesn't meet your bare minimum. And then when you answer that question and when you're ready, then you come back to me and we'll work on the breakup, because yeah, it's going to hurt, because even though he doesn't meet the bare minimum, there's still some attachment there. So when you're ready, after you do that, come back to me. And so that's normally, you know, what I do with women that are like on the fence.
Girl, that'd be a hard pill to swallow. I'm going to insert this little story right here because it's relevant to what you just said. And then I'm also going to address something that Me For Real said. Okay, so this weekend, I started this all telling y'all, we went on a girls trip. Guess who was checking us in at the hotel when we got there at midnight? A guy I used to date.
No.
I was like, what the whole holy? No. I was like, is you serious? What are the chances of all the hotels we picked, this guy would be there? But I think I didn't mention anything because my sisters were there. I didn't mention like I knew him. I know he recognized me, but we did get some free parking.
I was about to say, did he wink at you like?
No, because here's the thing, Dawn. Like, this was a person, and this is what made me think of it. At the time, this guy like stood me up one time. We ended up going on one date. Then he was always contacting me for like booty call stuff. But at the time, it was like I still wanted him, even though he didn't meet the bare minimum. So it was a good thing to see him again, to be like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, I was like, because you'll be represented with these people, and it's like, But the concern was, what if you ask for help, but you don't have the help that you need? That's when you have to ask God. You have to ask the universe, send me what I need. Show me what I need to do to attract these people. Where is my help? Like, I think that's the big question. Where is my help? Right. And you will probably be told to go to this networking meeting or told to tune in to this live stream.
Right.
Your help is right here. Sometimes you asking for stuff that's sitting right in your face. So, okay, let's reel back to talking about this being, what do you find with your clients when they think the breakup is the end? Because we've already established it is a new beginning, but some people can't even see that. What do you say to them when they're like, oh my gosh, my life is over? Because they be in grief. What you say?
Yes. So first of all, it's a process. Like, nothing gets solved in 1 or 2 sessions. But normally when I start working with clients, we go through the grieving process. We go through the stages of grieving so they kind of know what to expect. And then once we do that, we attack those limiting beliefs, because sometimes the things we say, like, we're emotional when we say them, but when you really think about it, you're like, that don't really make sense. Like, I'll never find another guy again. There's 50 billion men on this earth. Like, so that's not true. So we work on, like, just clarifying those limiting beliefs, because if we're in an emotional state and we're saying these things and we're feeling all these things, but once we start to grieve and start to process stuff, we can look at things with a clearer eye, you know? And that's one thing that I think is helpful for people, just eliminating and attacking those limiting beliefs. And we spend a lot of time doing that, not only around relationships, but around other things in life too.
Because I hear a lot of coaches talk about this limiting belief, and some people don't even know what is a limiting belief?
It's a false belief that you just believe, and it limits you from reaching your full potential. So, like I said, the most common one was, I'm going to be alone forever. And most of the women that I work with are younger. So they might be in their 20s, they might be in their 30s. And that's such a limiting belief, because you're 30. So you mean to tell me you got maybe 60, 70 years left on this earth, and you believe that you're going to be alone forever? Like, the truth is that you're going to heal and you're going to find someone that was better than the last one. He may not be it either, but you will move on eventually and you will find somebody else. Like, I don't know anybody that had a breakup in their 30s and was alone for the rest of their life. I don't know that person, right? So, yeah, show me that person.
Okay, let me understand this correct, because I'm always getting clarity for the people. Because some people, we assume that people know what we know, and they really don't.
Right.
A limiting belief is just what you said. I've told myself, I'm never going to find another man. I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. Which you just proved, because you said you don't know a woman who was 28 when she broke up. She was 32 when she broke up, and she spent the rest of her life alone. Y'all hear that?
I don't know her.
Like, that ain't real. So stop telling yourself these stories.
Now, there may be women that are older that are alone by choice because they chose that. But a woman that actively wants to be in a relationship that was alone for the next 70 years, I don't know her. Where is she? Like, I've never seen that happen.
Yeah, because I can use my mom for an example. Like, her and my dad split up. She found somebody else, and I think they was together for like 15 years. She ain't dating nobody now, but I mean, I'm just that example came to mind for me. Now, dating. Girl, these people be giving dating a bad rap. Why are people so in 2023? Like, I've heard so many, and especially with what me and you both do, we're talking to women about dating and breakup and relationships.
Right.
Why are people having such a hard time dating today?
That is a good question. I had a friend, and we were just talking about this, guy friend, and he was saying, oh, dating is so much work. So I said, let's break this down. Where does the work come in? Because I thought dating was fun. You get to get all dressed up, get all cute, go to a nice restaurant or do an activity. Like, where does this work come in? And when we broke it down, it was just a matter of him just like putting too much pressure on himself, having these expectations. And I think sometimes when we date and we go out, we look at this person like, are they the one? Are they the one? And it's like, that's not the purpose of the date. If that's the purpose of the date for you, you're always going to be let down, because a date is just meeting someone, getting to know them, having fun. That's it. And I think people's expectations are just crazy. Like, I want him to just like shower me with gifts on the first date or take me to a fancy restaurant. It's just like, you know, you're looking for him to be the one, and he may just be looking to get to know you, you know?
Right.
And I also think that people tell their horror stories, but they may not tell the beautiful stories. Because I think just as a community, we focus so much on the negative. So if
Wow.
you're going out on date after date after date, you might discover that this person wasn't the one, but you still have fun, right? Like you still got a chance to meet somebody. Maybe there wasn't a second date, or maybe you only went on 3 dates, but you have fun. And it's just like, that's what dating is. Like, you're having fun, you're mingling, you're getting to know people. And I think sometimes people just put too much pressure on, they think it's supposed to be this when dating really is something else. So I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that being an issue because you even made me think about the guy I saw at the front desk who I used to date. We had fun. We had gone to a Nashville Sounds game, which is baseball. We had fun that night, and then we
Right.
ended up going to dinner. So it was like I had a blast. Even though he won't the one, I
Right.
enjoyed I enjoyed speaking with him. But yeah, the dating. And do you find that there are in what people are challenged with in terms of their expectations, do
Mm-hmm.
you find there are too many choices for people to date? Because you got a new damn app coming up every day.
Right. Exactly. I think that's part of the issue. Because it's just like, if you don't like this one, you just swipe. You like this one, you just swipe. So I think that there are a lot of choices. And I think that we get fooled by Instagram and Facebook when people post these pictures like, oh, we went on a date, we did this, we did that. And then you're looking at this guy like, well, you need to be doing that too. And it's just like, no, this is just for the gram, y'all. Like, don't get it twisted. No, this is for the gram. Like, you're going out on dates and you're recording every moment of it, and then you're posting it, and then you expect to go out on a date like that. It's just like, no. Some of the things that we see on the internet or social media, it's something that was scripted, and that's not real. Like, if they posted their last date, it wouldn't look like that. So yeah.
Right. It was. Do you think that false reality within the relationship, doing it for the gram, could be enough to keep somebody in a relationship they don't want to be in?
I think some people, if you're holding on to a relationship, no matter what you're getting in return, it's probably because there's a lot of attachment there. Because I know I've had clients that were in relationships that weren't good, and they weren't sure they wanted to be there, and they stayed in that relationship until something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that do that as well.
So it's the attachment you're saying.
Yeah, I think sometimes you get attached to people, you get used to people, and like we said before, like you can't really imagine your life without them. And that's your limiting belief, because life could be much greater without them or with somebody else. And so if you get stuck like, oh, I can't imagine what life would be like without him, and you stay someplace where you're miserable, it's like you sort of have that stuck feeling.
Yeah, and you're making me liken this to, because even though you're a breakup coach mainly for relationships, some people need to break up with their jobs. Some people might need to break up with their apartment, their house, or wherever they live, because it is those things
Right.
that, why is it so hard to grieve when the person or the thing is still there? Because, of course, people grieve the death and they see the
Right.
person buried, they see
Right.
the obituary and all of this. Why is it hard to grieve the other way?
So I used to work in a drug program, and they had a saying, you can't get sober in the environment where you got high, right? because there's too much temptation, right? And we are creatures of habit. And so if we break up and we're in the same apartment, like how long before we're going to slip back into old habits? Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that way. And when I work with women, we go through a detox phase, and that is part of the detox, right? Getting out of that environment. And that might be like, if y'all broke up and y'all go to the same gym and it's too challenging for you to go to that gym, you might have to switch gyms or something like that. And I'm not saying forever, because eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to see him at the gym and be like, hi, bye, and you'll be fine. But like that saying is really true. Like you're not going to get clean in the environment where you got high, because we are creatures of habit.
I love that you take your clients with you through the detox phase, because you've been through that.
Mm-hmm.
As with your experience as a social worker, you said you worked in drug rehab. You understand, and you've been able to make the connections and the links between that. What else can your clients expect for you? Because I know we have some people here who are like, I need Dawn. How can they work with you, and what can they expect when they do work with you?
So I do have a link in my bio. You could always click that and schedule a free consultation, or just send me a DM. Like, I'm open to having conversations. I'm fine with that. Just to see if we're a good match. What can they expect? So they can expect to, first of all, like I said, we go through a detox, and that's probably the toughest thing for anyone, especially if it was a recent breakup and you're so used to being in the habit of talking to this person every day or seeing this person every day. And I just feel like this process is hard. But when you have someone like me that's there supporting you, that's available to you, it makes it a little bit easier. We also go through, like I said, the stages of grieving. So you kind of know what to expect. I think a lot of times women feel like they're so torn and they're so stuck, and it's a confusing time. So we kind of break down where this confusion comes from. And I think just that clarity is helpful in itself. We also look at the things that you may have neglected while in this relationship, because I think we all do it. We all get tied up in relationships, and we weren't working out like we should, or we had a project that we were working on, or we delayed going back to school because we were taking care of somebody else. And we focus on those things and just focus on what your purpose and passion is,
Right.
and how to live a full life, whether you're single or not. And then the last part of the program, I supply women with tools to get into a healthy relationship. So finding out what it is that you really want, like not just getting into a relationship just because you met a nice guy and he took you out and you just were together ever since. Like, do you guys share the same values? What are his goals? What are your relationship goals? Not everybody wants to get married and have kids. Is that what the other person wants? How to broach those topics that we don't really talk about. We're just like, well, I like the person, so I'm going to be with them. And that doesn't work. Like, that didn't work before, and it's not going to work now. So we do a lot of that. And with a lot of the clients that I work with, we explore some childhood trauma, because a lot of times we pick partners who remind us or have similar qualities of somebody in our childhood. And sometimes we don't even realize that. Like, there are a ton of women who I worked with who are like, you know what? I think I actually do have daddy issues. Or I was parentified at such a young age that I don't know how to ask for help. I don't know how to be in my feminine energy and just be with someone that is masculine, because I'm used to doing everything myself. I'm this independent, so we explore those things as well.
Wow, so y'all heard it right here on Heart to Heart. Dawn is giving y'all all the goods. Go to her profile, which right here on Instagram, which is Breakup Coach Dawn. Follow her, book your consultation, find out more. Do you have any like workshops or anything coming up for the people?
I don't, because I just feel like people want to be running the streets in the summer. So I will be having workshops coming up September, October. I do this workshop where it's like a versus men versus women, where we come together and we talk about like really popular issues, and just like you can get your questions answered and get it straight from the horse's mouth. So I will be doing that September and October, but for the summer, no, I don't.
Okay, so nothing for the summer. Okay, somebody said, hold on a second, I'll put it in here. Uh, breakup code. Yeah, I'm still doing my workshops during the summer because I'm like, I gotta give these people the goods because
Good for
they
you.
be struggling.
Good
But
for
I
you.
get what you're saying. I'm just gonna put this in here. Let me see if I can pin that comment. But this has been a phenomenal conversation. I just Another reason I'm glad to have this conversation is Dawn and I both service kind of the same community, but we do it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dawn is a breakup coach. That's what she does. And I am a breakup coach too, but I'm more a self-care coach. I'm a self-care coach and I help the
Okay.
women after the breakup. So it's kind of a different angle to the same thing. So when y'all contact Dawn, you know what you're gonna get. Y'all heard it right here. You're gonna get the
Right.
detoxes. You gonna get it's gonna feel like you getting off drugs. Cause that man might be a
Yes.
drug. I mean,
So
I'm just being
and this is what
honest.
we go over. Like your brain literally does the same thing when you break up as when you detox off of drugs. Your brain is doing the same thing.
Wow.
Yes. But what I wanted to ask you is, so last night I was trying to explain to my family what it is that you did, and I don't think I did a really good job. So can you explain that to me so I can explain it to them?
Explain what?
How do you work with your clients?
Oh, sure. So I'm a self-care coach. So when my clients come to me, of course, they've been through the breakup. I teach them how to pour back into their self with movement, with massage. So I'm more focused on what's going on in the
Okay.
body. I don't really focus on the detox, I'm all about relieving that instant pain. So
Okay.
I don't really delve in. Of course, I do like some mindset stuff, but mine is just all about let's get you out of this immediate pain, trauma, because I know your heart hurts. And with my knowledge as a massage therapist, that's the angle I come from.
Okay.
Let's get this body moving, and then you can go to the next step and work with Dawn. Oh no,
Okay.
that's that's my angle because that was what worked for me, like
Mhm.
movement. Like let's get you
Okay.
moving. I'm all about, and so in my workshop, that's what we do. We dance.
Ah, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, so we dance because as you know, the women come to you, they may have just broke up 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago. I got to ask you this
Hmm.
question because I've been noticing this with my clients, the people who come to my workshop. A lot of them had a breakup more than a year ago, so it's not fresh. So what it's saying
Hmm.
to me is just like you're talking about with the detox and drugs and the mind equating this is the same
Hmm.
way. They aren't really over it just because time has passed. If you haven't done any work, you ain't really over the breakup. What
Right.
have you been noticing with the people who come to you? Like, have they been fresh breakups or are they like been over a year, 2 years, 3 years, or
I
what?
think I've had a mixture of both, but I think a lot of times for the women where it's been like a year or 2 years, that year or two was spent in the back and forth phase where
Oh,
we're still sleeping together, but we're not together, or we're trying to make it work, but he started seeing someone else. I started seeing someone else. or we're still talking on the phone every day. So I think, or we're co-parenting, but we have sex once in a while. So I think a lot of times with those women, they probably never went through the detox phase, and they probably never worked on like their attachment issues and things like that. So I think a lot of times, and I mean, and it can happen the other way too, where you haven't talked to this person. I think sometimes with unexpected breakups, it is really traumatic, and we tend to hold on to that because we feel betrayed. So that might take a little bit longer. But I think sometimes, more times than not, it's because you're doing the back and forth, and you haven't really committed to this relationship being over.
Wow, because what you just said, I'm gonna link this back to the job. That's almost like putting in your 2 weeks notice, but you go to the job sometimes.
Right,
You
right.
quit, but now you're going back. Oh, boss, can I go back on Friday this week? Like, that's what we be doing, though.
Yes, yes. Look, a little dip here, we dip in there, dip in there. Gotta commit to the process.
Because sometimes we just got to call it quit. Because I know this, I be talking about this on my channel, like the breakup sex. Like, because you alluded to it just now, we be hanging on like, oh, just give me a little more taste.
And that, and it feels so good at the time. But after that, like when I go over this with my clients, it's just like that breakup sex give you such an amazing high, but it's followed by the lowest of lows. And once you get out of that rhythm, then you know you're good. But as long as you keep going for them cheap highs,
girl, it is. You know, one thing I want to see you do, and you probably have already developed it because I don't know, I feel like there needs to be, I'm sure I know you have this in your programs when you're working with the clients, but there needs to be like a detox from my ex class, like how to detox, like
I've done something like that before. I have.
I love it. Cause like we all need to detox. Cause I know with mine, the guy that I dated for a long time and we lived together and all of that, it was hard for me to detox because I went through the cycles of the breakup sex where he would come to my new apartment and all of that. And even after I moved away to another state that was 700 miles away, I was still holding on. Ooh, let me see what he doing on a social media. Ooh, then I sit there and cried when I found out he was having a baby. And it was just all of the stuff. Like, why do we put ourselves through this stuff?
And that's part of the detox. Like, no social media, no going on your fake page to spy on him, because that is like torture. So none of that. That's all part of the detox.
It's like,
look, the first time you see him with another woman, or if you see him doing something with her that you wanted to do and he didn't do it with you, like, it's just plain old torture. So that's part of the detox. Yeah.
You know what? And we're gonna end this conversation right here. You know, one thing that's fascinating about the work that you do and the work that I do, I have noticed, because I went through that detox, because I did all the appropriate things to heal, to care for myself. Like when I've been in a relationship after that major one, or even just dating, I don't even get that attached because I've learned my lessons. Like, I'm like, Elmira, why would you even go back there? Like, even the relationship I'm in now, I see myself differently. Like, the reactions, how I act is so different.
Right. And once you start to heal, and once you learn all this information and learn things about yourself and your attachment style and this, like, you start to look at things a whole lot different. And my hope for my clients is that the next relationship they get into, they'll be armed with all this knowledge, and they'll be able to trust themselves again and pay attention to their own intuition and be able to look out for certain things, and to not become attached to people who don't have good intentions, you know. So that's my hope for the women that I work with.
Okay, y'all heard it right here on Heart to Heart. That is the hope of Dawn, our breakup coach, our resident breakup coach. Make sure you are following her. You book your consultation. You stay tapped in because she's got some workshops coming up in the fall.
Yes.
And again, everybody, this has been another wonderful edition of Heart to Heart. We'll see you next Monday. Okay,
Bye, y'all.
bye.